Hello, and welcome to Based on a Book, the podcast that has gone absolutely rogue. I'm Keri, and I'm stealing one of Lindsey's intros to say I'm conflicted.
I'm Lindsey, and my empathy is creeping towards what I would describe a contemptuous rage.
I'm Crystal, and I never thought I would say this, but I'm a little sick of scientists after this month.
And it's shocking. I'm shocked Crystal is saying that. Today, we are wrapping up our Maid of Madness March. It has been a long March, but we are wrapping it up by diving into what is probably going to be, in my opinion, the most interesting discussion of a specific book adaptation that we've had in a while, because we are talking about Poor Things by Alasdair Gray and its 2023 adaptation starring Emma Stone. So I'm curious, before we get into this entire episode, what each of your expectations were going into it. Lindsey, you've watched this before, right?
Yeah, I watched the movie when it came out back in 2023.
Okay, so you already had a good idea of what the book was going to be about before reading it. And what about you, Crystal? Any expectations going into the book or the movie?
No, I'd seen some previews for the movie, but I never watched it. I knew it was a Frankenstein retelling, but that was all I knew. You're like, what were your expectations?
Speechless.
Not this.
Speechless. Absolutely speechless. My expectations going in is I knew it was going to be pretty wild. This is really funny because I remember asking someone, because I love watching movies with my family. That's one of my favorite things to do. And I remember when this came out, I was like, we got to watch Poor Things, you guys. We got to watch this movie. And I remember talking to a friend saying I wanted to watch it with them. And they're like, you cannot watch this with your family. You cannot watch it with your family. So that being said, first thing I'm going to get into, which is usually we'd get into this a little further, is I'm going to give a content warning for this episode. So before we get into it, this episode covers some of the most, in my opinion, explicit material we've discussed so far on this podcast. Both the book and the film include sexual content, graphic, medical, surgical imagery, and darker themes that we'll be talking about openly. Our podcast is already explicit. We're cursing, all kinds of stuff, but this discussion may be more detailed than usual because those elements are kind of central to the story, especially Bella's experiences throughout it. So if you have younger listeners around or prefer to skip heavier topics,
don't have younger listeners around for this one. Don't. Headphones.
Yeah. You might want to check out one of our other episodes or come back when you're ready. But first thing I'm going to get into is a little bit of the book background, because this is an interesting one. Poor Things was published in 1992 and has received multiple accolades, including a Guardian Fiction Prize in 1992. We chose as the final piece to our Frankenstein month because it's widely regarded as a feminist reimagining of Frankenstein. Whether it truly earns that title from our perspective is something we'll explore shortly. If you want our reviews of Frankenstein, be sure to check out our first episode of the month titled Introducing the Madness, where we go into our thoughts on Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. But a quick synopsis of Poor Things. It is set in Victorian-era Scotland. We follow Bella Baxter, a woman brought back to life by the eccentric scientist Godwin Baxter. Bella begins with the mind of a child, literally, but rapidly develops her own intelligence, curiosity, and independence. We follow Bella as she explores the world socially, sexually, and politically as she challenges societal norms that govern women's bodies and autonomy. The structure of the novel is a little bizarre. It's told as almost like a found manuscript, like a fictional memoir almost.
It kind of reminds me of Princess Bride in that way. We found a book and now I'm going to write you the story of the book.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. Lindsay, do you have any more like do you want to go into detail of how exactly the book is structured?
Sure. So, this book blends satire, gothic science fiction, and political commentary. And its structure is intentionally to play games with the idea of who gets to tell a story and whose version we actually believe. So, one of the most interesting things about the book is, like we were saying, it's got a layered narrative structure. So, the novel claims to be edited by Alasdair Gray, who's the actual author. It's a written memoir by the character Archibald McCandless, and then it's followed by a rebuttal from Bella herself.
Mhm.
So we don't know what the truth is, which
Yeah.
I think this was fun, in my
Mhm.
opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like an embedded narrative.
Exactly.
But let's get into our book ratings first. Non-spoiler reviews. Crystal, what is your rating on this one?
I'm conflicted too, honestly. But I think I've settled on 3 stinky burps.
Okay. All right.
I felt like, although I found the story really interesting, I found the way it was told really interesting, and the somewhat conflicting narratives of the 3 different storytellers. It's But sometimes the pacing was a little off for me. Sometimes I felt bored in places, super excited and fascinated in some, bored in others. You know, the characters were interesting and compelling. The story itself was interesting. I'm glad I read it. I think I really enjoyed the book, and I think it does have like a significant overall, I don't want to say impact, but like it really does. I think it's a good story, but also it was just kind of a slog to get through for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you, Lindsay?
So I gave this one 4 reanimations.
Oh,
I
interesting.
I really enjoyed this story.
Mm-hmm.
It was different than what I expected having watched the movie first, but I thought it was brilliant satire, and I liked the unreliable narrators. I thought they were fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one unexpectedly.
Mm-hmm. And you gave Princess, like, we're comparing it to Princess Bride just because it has, like, a weird structure to it, like Princess Bride. And I think you gave Princess Bride a 5,
I
didn't
did.
you?
I
Yeah,
Yeah.
did.
you really liked that structure.
Yeah.
Now that one was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Princess
Yeah.
Bride really had the humor. This one lacks the humor, but the unreliable narrators, the way Bella contradicts, or Victoria contradicts her husband,
Hmm.
that was just, it was comical.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. For me, I hate to bring down the vibes, but I gave it 2.5 engagements for now. Hear me out. Okay? Hear me out. I feel like this is the type of book where I haven't talked to anybody about it, and I feel like I need to talk about how I feel
Yeah.
and
There's a lot
process
to
it.
process here.
Yes, exactly. I feel like I need to process it with some people to see how I feel about the book as a whole, because right now I feel anger.
I think because like I struggled a lot with my rating because like part of me was like I feel like I need to rate this higher, but also I
Mhm.
feel like also like I think I could go higher too. Our friend Reggie and Isaiah over at Movie Postmortem, they like revisit their ratings at the end of after they've discussed it. And
Mhm.
I think that's a really good idea because sometimes after we discuss stuff, I'm like, now that I think about it, now that Lindsay pointed that out, or now that Keri brought this to my attention, I'd love having you guys to talk this back and forth with, because sometimes these really do, like, there's stuff that you miss or there's stuff that didn't hit until you really have a chance to process it. So I think that's smart.
Yeah, that's honestly exactly how I'm feeling right now because I hate the structure. I don't like how this was put together. I found it so frustrating. I get the appeal. I totally get the appeal. It's just personally, and you want to know what? I hated it in Princess Bride too. So it just aligns exactly how just my personal taste. But I felt like it was so distracting from the story because I love the story. I love Bella and I love Bella's story. But the unreliable narrators and the switch up at the end, like I wanted to physically throw the book. I wanted to throw it away. I was so upset and annoyed. But I want to talk through it with both of you, like as we discuss it, to see, like, understand why I'm annoyed. And maybe that makes it actually good and not bad, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, I don't know how I feel about this rating, but yeah, maybe I'll revisit it and maybe it'll change. So with that note, let's get into spoilers. So for the rest of this episode, you know the drill. We will be getting into the book and the movie, what worked, what didn't as it went to screen, and we're going to discuss Frankenstein connections along the way. But from here on out, it will be all spoilers. So I'm going to give a little bit of background of the movie, which is absolutely insane. An absolutely insane adaptation. This was directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, who actually has a great partnership with Emma Stone, as they have several projects together, including The Favorite and the new release Begonia and this film. They are known to do some freaky collaborations. They work because they are winning awards, including for Poor Things, like Emma Stone winning Best Actress at the Academy Awards for this. This is the first time I've seen a movie actually of that they've collabed together. Have you guys seen any of their movies? I know I really want to see Begonia.
I do too. I really want to see that one.
Yeah,
It's
that
on
one
my
looks
list.
really good. Yeah. As I said before, this movie received a ridiculous amount of nominations. It's become known as like genre defying. I think because of it being so dark, you get a lot, and the genre defying, you get a lot of people being obsessed with it or people hating it. So I think that's really fun. I actually kind of love when movies are like that.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it has like a good critical review of it. So I'm kind of going to go right into how the story begins. The book and the movie begin in similar ways. We're introduced to McCandless or McCandles in the movie, a medical student who forms a close friendship and professional partnership with the surgeon Godwin Baxter. McCandless admires Godwin's brilliance and they connect intellectually. But when he visits Godwin's home, he meets Bella Baxter, who appears childlike despite being in an adult woman's body. He initially assumes she has suffered brain damage from an accident, but Godwin reveals that she is actually the result of a scientific experiment where he claims to basically have created new life. Sound familiar? So basically, what Bella's story is, Godwin explains that Bella had drowned herself while pregnant.
Sound familiar?
Yes. Yes, that's what I was going to say. Sound familiar? Because a lot of people say that Bella's origin story is very similar to Percy's wife's story and how she had drowned herself when she was pregnant. So Godwin recovers Bella's body and revived her by transplanting the brain of her unborn fetus into her adult body. What was your guys' reaction to that? Like, that's insane to me. I didn't know about this going in. Like, I knew like the vibes were going to be strange going into the movie. So I didn't really know much about the book. I didn't know about, Bella's origin story or anything. So reading that, my reaction was I was a little shook. What about you, Lindsay? What was your reaction?
I'm trying to remember my initial reactions from when I first watched the movie. And I have to say that I was probably, a, honestly, a little creeped out
Mm-hmm.
at the thought of an infant's brain in a grown woman's body. But then, like, you can't take it too seriously. Like, it's satire. Obviously, it's not
Right.
realistic at all. So, like, I had to really not think about it too much.
Yeah. What about you, Crystal?
I mean, it was such a, in my mind, in your face commentary on science and, the scientific community and, the lengths they go to. I'm not a scientist, but we as a society go to for scientific discovery, sacrificing other life in order to quote, advance scientific discovery. They, like, in the story, Bella's fetus could have survived. It was still alive.
Yeah.
And so, like, he kills that baby, like, he kills that baby, which is like all these, the stem cell research that we do that does not kill babies. But I mean, like, it's at what point, where do you draw the line, and so this was like the big, again, it's satire, but it was so kind of in your face of like, but it was science, so it's okay.
Mhm.
Like, okay, I get what you're trying to say here,
Yeah. Which, like, coming off of Frankenstein is like
right?
the exact same thing that we see from Victor Frankenstein.
It also just kind of freaked me out, like Lindsay said, like a child's mind in an adult woman's body. Like, that was hard to not let go of through the book, through the movie. I don't think I never let go of that because I couldn't see past it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in the book, whenever I'm gonna say McCandles because that's
Because
just
she calls him
easier.
Candles in the book anyways, so
Yeah. I'm gonna say McCandles because they have different names in the book and the movie, but I'm gonna stick with that one. Reacts in the book with horror and disgust when he first finds out about it. Essentially, like, condemning Godwin's actions as like monstrous and immediately like distances himself, though he eventually returns and becomes involved again. In the film, however, he responds differently. Rather than rejecting Godwin, he like collaborates with him, carefully documenting Bella's development, her speech, reflexes, physical growth, and behavior. Like, he's involved basically in the quote experiment. He is fully aware of it and actively assists in recording and studying her progress. Bella rapidly matures, both intellectually and emotionally. And as her mind develops, she becomes increasingly curious about the world around her, particularly society, gender expectations, and her own sexuality. During this time, McCandles begins to fall in love with her, which is like a little icky to me, I'm not gonna lie. Although Bella appears receptive to his feelings and she is like, yeah, we will get married, she ultimately chooses a different path. She leaves with Duncan Wedderburn and embarks on a wild, eye-opening journey. Through this adventure, she continues to discover herself while forming bold, independent ideas about society, women's roles, cultures, and politics. So, overall thoughts, that's like a good introduction and kind of like overall what the story is. I'm curious, overall thoughts of the movie. What about you, Lindsay? Overall thoughts?
I think the movie is visually stunning. I think the actors do phenomenal. I think it's obviously they can't go with a direct adaptation of this book because the multiple narrators, it's hard to interpret that to screen. So I think the direction that they took, I think it worked really well. And I like this movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Crystal?
Pretty much the same. I enjoyed this. I think the beginning when it first started, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to like this. But I am so glad I had to watch it because I had to talk to you guys about it. But I'm like, and honestly, I'll be honest, the first 15, 20 minutes, I was just kind of like, this is not hitting. And had it not been for the podcast, I probably would have turned it off and watched something else. But I'm glad I stuck it out because I really, really enjoyed this. It started a little weird and slow. I mean, the book is a little weird and slow in spots, but it's so good. It moves so well. It progresses at a nice pace continuously through the whole thing. And Mark Ruffalo, that character whose name I just forgot, even though you said it, Duncan, yeah, he brought that character to life in a way that I didn't get in the book. Like, honestly, if I could just take that character and put it in the book, because that made so much more sense to me. And I loved that. I loved that. That storyline is the best.
Mm-hmm. It's funny you said that. Mark Ruffalo was actually like super paranoid about his portrayal of this character, and he felt that he wasn't right for the part. Even so, Willem Dafoe played a joke on him where he kept saying he thought Oscar Isaac would have been a better pick for that character. Oscar Isaac was filming another movie nearby on another set, and Willem Dafoe brought him over and then brought Mark Ruffalo into the room and was like, sorry, you're being replaced with Oscar Isaac.
That's so mean. Oh my gosh.
I know.
I was about to say that I thought Willem Dafoe was perfect too, but now I'm just, that was kind of a jerk move.
I know.
Like that. Not to my Mark Ruffalo. Sorry, I'm a 13 going on 30 girl. Like, that is one of my all-time favorite movies. So Mark Ruffalo is like my big crush. Don't play practical jokes on my big crush. That's not nice.
Yeah, I was watching so many interviews with him talking about this movie, and he is almost like so insecure about this being in this movie and his role in it, thinking that he didn't do such a good job, or like every part that he was playing, he was always second guessing, and everyone around him was like encouraging him and being like, just do it, you're doing great. And this was such like, his part as Duncan was such an incredible surprise. Like, he talks about like I said, he thought he would be bad at it, and he didn't want to let Emma down or the director down. So he was really worried that he was going to be too associated with like his franchises that he does. And so he was trying to get out of that mindset because he's playing like a rake, basically. Like,
this is like a wild departure from his normal roles, even in some of his more independent or more offbeat films. This is different for him, but I loved it.
Yeah, he is like kind of playing like an asshole, and it is just such a cool thing to see him in that character. Like, I can't help but to think about like a very specific scene. We're going to get into more scenes in a bit, but a very specific scene that I'm thinking about is, and everybody talks about, is like their dance scene together.
Yes.
Also, if you hear rain in the background, it is currently storming pretty loud right now. So if you hear that in the background, sorry about that.
It's ambiance.
It's ambiance for Frankenstein vibes. Poor Things vibes. I can't help but think about that specific scene of them dancing. And he talks about how they did that like 60 times together. And I love that scene so much because it's like, you know, Bella becoming more free and like feeling the music, and you just like can't help but just dance however you want, and you have like no control over your body, and you just do whatever you want. And it's like Duncan is like sitting there and he's like doesn't want to, you know, there's like a specific way that everybody's dancing, and he doesn't want to be, going over the top like that. It's like almost embarrassing to him. And then all of a sudden he just goes along with her. And they talk about that scene and how losing that control was difficult for him. And then when he finally did that, and how Emma Stone was like a good like way to like vibe off of with him.
Mm-hmm.
And they had such good chemistry in doing that scene. I just like love that. And I just felt like those characters were just like so good. Like they just were so well done. Like to describe him, he's like this arrogant guy who's like trying to whisk away this like naive girl, and to do like whatever he said to go along with. And in that specific moment, Bella is becoming more free. And it's like that, how the way that she's dancing is her becoming more free, and it's like represented in her body and in her actions. It's so good. His character was, I think, just as good as Bella. I loved it. But my overall thoughts of the movie, as much as I talk about how much I'm like specific moments, this one was like really hard for me. Like there's so much I love about it, but also like a lot that I hated about it. I will say that the whimsy of this story, like the steampunk vibes, I felt like it aligned with the book so well. Going in, I was like thinking back to like our Wuthering Heights experience, like flashbacks where it's like comically like in your face symbolism.
Yeah.
So I was like kind of worried about that going in, even though obviously like completely two different people directing and stuff, but just like that type of, vibe, I guess, going into the movie. But it totally wasn't. It was like the artistry in it matched the story.
Mm-hmm.
It matched Bella's personality. Like I like when it went from black and white to color.
It was such a perfect moment.
Yes.
I almost thought I missed it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was waiting for it the whole time, because I had seen previews in color. And so when it started in black and white, I knew, okay, it's going to have to shift at some point, or else I'm watching the weird version, which could happen. But, so I'm watching it and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And then it shifted to color so smoothly that I was like, wait, did that just happen? Or did I miss it a second ago? You know what I mean? Like, did I miss it?
Mm-hmm.
It was so smooth and so perfect in just the right moment that it felt natural, right? Because we see that happen in like The Wizard of Oz when we go black and white to color, and it's meant to be magical. It's meant to be over the top, right? Because we're stepping into Oz. But this was more representing, Bella's natural growth and transition into her world.
Mm-hmm.
And so to have it transition so smoothly, so naturally, that was chef's kiss moment for me.
Yeah. I love that moment. Also, like the moments where it's like the fisheye lens.
Yeah.
When it just like moves the picture into specific moments, it made sense where it feels almost like claustrophobic. And when the scene gets like a little more intense, I really, really liked that. I thought it was so beautiful. I think they said that it was shot like like the entire thing was shot in a studio where like the background was like painted in some parts. And I just like, that's so insane. I thought it was so beautiful. The costumes, like you can tell when Bella, she is whenever she in the beginning, she has like more childlike costumes, and then later she's wearing like different colors, almost darker colors, where it kind of shows her like almost like developing and like becoming more adult like, and it's kind of represented in her costumes. I thought that was incredible. I love that so much. But I have complicated feelings about the movie. And like the entire structure of the story in both the book and the movie surrounds like women not being shameful
Mm-hmm.
for what they do and not being controlled for what they do. And I have complicated feelings about it because I like that in the book and movie. We do see her like seeking agency sexually and without shame. And that's, that's liberating. But did find myself like walking away from the movie a little bit like with the ick, kind of. And like I saw and I was like, I don't know why I feel like icky walking away from this. And I saw people I was looking at reviews and people were saying like they thought that it was getting criticized because people said that it felt like it was made for the male gaze rather than the female gaze, and calling it, a feminist version of Frankenstein, or feminist interpretation of Frankenstein. But I don't think people also realize that like Emma Stone is a producer on this.
Mm-hmm.
Emma Stone has her hands in all of these scenes.
Mm-hmm.
She is very involved in every scene in the story that she is telling.
Yeah, but was she trying to tell it to men or was she trying to tell it to women? That's what
Yeah.
determines the gaze, is who was her intended audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see that because I agree with you. I kind of
Mhm.
walked away with it with ick. I loved it, loved this movie, but there were definitely those that feel, honestly, a feeling of being like feeling gross.
Mhm.
But I think that goes to one of the themes, which in my mind is consent.
Mhm.
Because here we have a child's mind in a woman's body. And yes, she wants to explore. And yes, she's interested in and excited about her body and the world around her. But is this a child or is this a woman? And
Yeah.
what people do to her, is she fully capable of consent, giving an informed consent to the things that are happening?
Yeah.
That is, honestly, that gave me ick through the whole movie. It gave me ick through the book, because this is, I think that's personally why I had the ick with this. That's why I was grossed out by this.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily think that it was, a male gaze or a female gaze that did it for me. This was what did it for me, was that still a child in my mind.
Yeah. I honestly I think there were just like a lot of this scenes in it just didn't hit as well for me. They got really dark.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically when it got to, for me, my what I interpreted when it got to like the brothel scenes. Uh there were like specific scenes in there that really I was like, what are we doing? Like it kind of like upset me. Walking away, like things that had to do with like children and stuff in those
Mm-hmm.
scenes, and like doing things in front of children. So I don't know, I didn't walk away with like a fully satisfied feeling like that I was hoping for this film. But then I was like, I keep like trying to think about it and wondering if it's like challenging me. Does that mean it's good? Because it is challenging me. I don't know. I don't know. But I feel like I still have to process it for sure. But to get more thunder in the background, I don't know if you can still hear it, but I feel like every time I drop a comment, thunder is going.
That's some wild thunder.
Yeah, is it really loud?
I can hear it. It's
Okay.
rumbling.
Okay. But getting into more of the cast, we have Rami Youssef as Max McCandless in the book. He has a much more important role in the book.
Yeah.
As we said before, the book, most of it is written in his perspective. Like because he's quote writing the book. This is his fictional memoir. But I think he kind of represents the character pretty well. He's like he doesn't have like a super strong personality, in my opinion. And like his relationship with Bella seems to be somewhat the same on screen. What do you both think? What
I
about
agree.
you,
Yeah.
Lindsey?
Yeah.
I definitely agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we have Godwin Baxter, played by Willem Dafoe. What do we think about
I love that
him?
they named him Godwin. Like,
Yeah.
you know, a nod to Mary Godwin Shelley there.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. You see a couple nods to the original Frankenstein throughout the book. And I really liked that. But I think Willem Dafoe did amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The biggest difference between Godwin in the book and Godwin in the movie is Godwin in the book is basically the same age as McCandless.
Mm-hmm.
And Godwin in the movie is more of a father figure. He's much older.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that affected McCandless' relationship with him, where Keri, you were talking about earlier, where he's just more willing to help with Bella. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that was why, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, because I think in the book they are like almost like in class together.
Yeah,
right?
they're both students. Yeah.
Yeah. And in the movie, Godwin is like teaching.
Yeah.
So
And in
there's
the book,
definitely a
too-
different power dynamic.
In the book too, McCandless like instantly falls for Bella, is instantly just enthralled with her. Like he's just enchanted. And Godwin kind of is like, you know, oh, that's cute. You know, we'll see you around. Bye. Like he's almost protective of Bella in that, like, it kind of answers the question that we had during our first Frankenstein episode of could somebody do this responsibly?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Godwin genuinely wanted to do this responsibly. He's caring for his creature. He's taking, you know, making sure that his creature is educated and healthy and strong and monitoring the you know what I mean? So like you see that a little bit more, I think, in the book than you do in the movie. In the movie, this is purely science. He's purely he wants to measure things, and he doesn't like the idea that he's become emotionally attached.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the book, I think that was kind of it all along, was I was lonely, so I created someone, and now I want to care for her.
Yeah. Yeah. This does feel also like in Frankenstein, where it's an example of like unchecked power and experiencing the consequences of it.
And, you know, it's been about a week since I finished reading the book, but I didn't Godwin Baxter say at one point in the book that, like, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have created her, but she's here and now I'll take care of it.
I think so.
That
does
he
sound
shouldn't have
familiar.
destroyed the life of the baby. He could have just raised the baby.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been about 2 weeks since I read the book. So
Right.
I think I actually had that marked where McCandless like brings that up, where he's like, couldn't you have saved? Could you not have saved the child? And Godwin reacts. He said, "Of course I saved it. The thinking part of it. Did I not explain that? Why should I seek elsewhere for a compatible brain when her body already housed one?"
Right. And then like a year later or whatever, he had said something like, I was selfish. I should have just saved the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked that because he took responsibility where Victor Frankenstein never took responsibility for it.
Yeah.
He never apologized for it. He never said, this is all my fault. He never, you know, like none of that. Whereas, you know, Godwin Baxter's over here saying, you called me on it before, and after reflection, you were right. I was selfish, and I should have just raised I could have just raised the baby. I should have just raised the baby. And he said that like his selfishness got in the way, or his selfish something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, there's a self-realized man. Thank you. I appreciate that. One in all these books we've read. One.
Also, I think it's so ironic and so good in the book and in the movie that Bella calls him God, like
Yeah.
shortens his name from Godwin to God, because he is her creator. He's playing the role of God to her, basically. And I think that's so good.
And I
It's
love
so
how it
clever.
kind of confuses the people around her when she does that.
Yeah.
I just found that really enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Like, God said this, or like, that's what God wants me to do. She's talking about her father, or her quote creator. And now we have Emma Stone as Bella Baxter, similar to the creature in Frankenstein, kind of the same concept where Bella is, seeking a some type of agency over herself, her mind, her body. I think Emma did an incredible job as Bella. She is an insane actress. What do you
Yeah.
think, Lindsay?
Her lines, the way she was speaking, it was perfect. It was a perfect portrayal. I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Crystal?
Oh, yeah. I mean, from start to finish, from like young Bella, quote unquote young Bella, and her stuttered speech and her talking, short syllables, and then slowly getting better throughout the movie as she's experiencing, and then just a fully actualized thinking, speaking, clearly adult, like, and she did each one of those growths, each little tiny change so beautifully. Emma Stone is magic in this role. She's just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the way she was able to develop the speech throughout the film, it's like only in the last half of the movie does she actually use pronouns to address people rather than using their full name. So, yeah, she was perfect.
And even in the way she moved, just wow.
Yeah. I like, even though I said earlier, like, I kind of felt like icky sometimes when watching like specific scenes, I get conflicted, like I was saying before, because like I do feel when you watch it, like you can almost sense the main actress, Emma Stone, almost coming through as free and comfortable. Like, I feel like you can genuinely sense that in this film. Like, that she is incredibly comfortable in this role and she knows what the heck what she's doing. And I think that's really good. Some other scenes, moving on to scenes some that stood out, good or bad. So the artistry, like we said before, or like I said before, incredible, amazing. Even like the animals everywhere in the movie, where with Godwin, to kind of represent like what he does.
The pig chicken.
Yeah, like
the pig chicken,
like,
just
mixture,
I love that.
Yeah, mixture of animals was absolutely insane. I know we already talked about Duncan and Bella a ton, but I'm gonna talk about it again because I like so much that she is basically experiencing like a toxic relationship. And what is it like to experience a toxic relationship in Bella's perspective, where she kind of like doesn't feel shame, guilt, all of these feelings inside. She's just kind of doing whatever she wants. And at least it felt that way to me. It's like Duncan took her away because he loved that she was naive and she wanted to go on like an adventure. So like they were the perfect pair, at least to him. And he went away and he loved that she didn't know what was going on. And he was like obsessed with that. And the second that she started challenging him, he hated it. He hates the challenge to his ego. To the point that the switch up was like he's like, don't fall in love with me. And then he was like, well, I love you. Please, be with me and all this stuff. And she's just like, well, I'm sleeping with this person. I'm sleeping with this. Like, what's the problem? Like,
It's like
I'm doing whatever I want.
Yeah, he hated the challenge. And
Mhm.
then so he pushed back to make her submit, and when she didn't, he hated the rejection and
Yeah.
kept coming back for more.
Yeah, and she just like starts to get over him and completely like annoyed with him. And it's like, it's interesting because we actually see, I think it's on page like 36 of the book, where when McCandless, like, he originally starts challenging Godwin about, the fact that he created Bella and did this to her by putting like a newborn baby's brain into her head. And I think this is like a little bit of foreshadowing of why Duncan wanted her so badly. He says to Godwin, he says, you think you are about to possess what men have hopelessly yearned for throughout the ages, the soul of an innocent, trusting, dependent child inside the opulent body of a radiantly lovely woman, which is exactly what Duncan wanted. And then the second she was like, her brain is developing into something that's challenging and talking back, or like where she's just like, I'm not going to do whatever you're saying, I'm going to do whatever I want. He is like either over it and doesn't want anything to do with it, calling her the devil, and, or just like screaming at her to come back to him. It's like she's experiencing the toxic relationship with being just kind of like, okay, and you know, it's so
Right?
good. Like, it's just
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
What are some of the scenes that stood out to you guys?
I mean, I honestly, the end. Like, the very, very, very last scene is so perfect.
Are you talking
to
about the
me.
movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so
Yeah.
perfect. It's I didn't fully expect it. I'm not mad about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why in the movie they made a second person though. What the heck was the other girl's name? I can't remember. Felicity or
Oh,
something like
yes,
that.
Felicity. Mm-hmm.
Was that her
So
name?
Godwin made another person like Bella. And he was basically, I think he was doing it because he wanted to like,
He was like, Bella's gone, let's make another one.
yeah,
Gotta do
but he
more science.
wanted to make it better.
Yeah. And
Without the emotional attachment too.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not in the book.
no. I didn't like that, honestly. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that didn't really add anything to the movie.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't add anything to the story. Like, if you took that out, it wouldn't change the story.
Yeah. In the end, with General Blessington, when he comes in, and he's like saying like, that's my wife, talking about Bella, because Bella in her previous life before she had died was Victoria Blessington. And he's like, that's my wife, like, she should be coming with me. In the book, it kind of like ends differently. They like settle things out. It's a little dramatic, but it doesn't happen how it does in the movie, where Bella's kind of like, okay, I'll go with him. And she goes to his place to figure out what the heck is going on. But I think it's funny that McCandless is just kind of just like, yeah, go with the flow. Like, he's kind of upset, but he's just like giving her the decision to decide,
Yeah.
or gives her the place to decide what to do instead of telling her what to do. So she's just like, yeah, I'm going to go and figure this out, and leaves with this guy claiming to be her husband. And then we get some like really fucked up stuff happening where he's claiming to like cut some piece of her body that I'm not going to say, and to get her pregnant. And she shoots him in the foot, and then pulls a Godwin Baxter and replaces his brain with a goat brain. in the movie.
So perfect.
And so he is on their property.
Like in their garden or whatever.
Yeah, in their
just
garden.
munching away on some leaves.
Yeah.
Bleeding.
That was
like
a pretty
goat.
satisfying ending in the movie. That was pretty funny. Are there any scenes that stood out to you, Lindsey?
Honestly, there were a few. Especially like on the boat. There were quite a few scenes on the boat when Duncan threatens Bella's new friend. He's gonna throw her overboard. She was like, "Oh, goody!"
Yes. What the heck was her name? Martha? Marcia?
It was Martha. Martha.
I loved that character so much. She was so funny.
One of my favorite scenes with Martha too was when Duncan takes her book and takes Bella's book and throws it, and Martha like looks at him like she doesn't give a fuck and just hands Bella a new book, and she's like, "Okay, what about it?"
It was so perfect.
Yep,
so good.
There's also a scene toward the end when Bella and McCandles are getting married, and Blessington barges in with Duncan, and at this point Baxter is sick. He's got cancer and he's like coughing up blood, and Duncan was like, "See, he's not human, he's coughing up blood." And McCandles is like, "He has cancer." He was like,
yeah. I can't get over how good Duncan is. I could talk about that all day.
Seriously.
So good. I love it. But we also have, like I said, completely different endings. Movie, Bella is living her best life with the general having a goat brain, and McCandles and the woman she met at the brothel living all together. I like that woman was there with her. That was cool.
I did too.
Yeah. And in the book, let's talk about the book ending, okay? So, remember when we said how it was the structure of the book? Yeah, basically we have a bunch of unreliable narrators, okay? McCandle Liss, whatever the heck it is. I'm struggling so bad with that name. In his fake memoir. So then memoir. Then we have so we finished that in the book. Then we have a letter in the back from Bella basically saying this is all fake. This is all not real. All the stuff you just read, this is not real.
She's like, I don't know what he was talking about.
Yeah, I don't know what he was talking about. He's on drugs, not sure. I don't know. This is all fake. Signed, Love, Victoria. Okay. Then we have like a bunch of like historical notes by our fake editor, who's actually the real author. Then at the very end of the book, very last page of the book, we have like basically like a note about Victoria, aka Bella, Dr. Victoria McCandless, and basically saying like how that she died, and saying that she was from the birth of her brain, she was exactly 66 years, 40 weeks, and 4 days old. Reckoning from the birth of her body, she was 92. So we're like, so what does this mean? What does this mean? Was McCandles telling the truth? Was Victoria actually like lying when she said this was all a lie? So that's not represented in the movie, obviously, because I can't imagine how you would do that. But in the book, it's like the structure is frustrating, where it's like, okay, this is what really happened, but this is what actually happened. Okay, actually, all the things that you just said that we said didn't happen may have actually happened. So that's kind of the structure of it, and which is wild, and I don't know how I feel about it.
That's the part I loved.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the part you guys loved, which is crazy. That's so funny. All right, final verdicts of the book and the movie. Crystal.
Book.
Lindsey.
I'm gonna go book too.
Oh My gosh, I'm going movie. I mean, obviously. After that
You're like,
rant.
I can only tolerate one narrator.
Yeah. I don't mind the different narrators. It was just like immediately I knew we were going downhill. I actually messaged Lindsey because I was like, I'm so confused. Help me. I don't understand. Who's talking to me right now? Because there is an introduction that's like, this is like the book that was found by this author, and Alasdair Gray is the editor. And I was like, wait, what is going on right now? So
I mean, but that's
I don't
just an
know.
ode to Frankenstein, you know, and honestly, a lot of books from the romance era is, you know, we have the narrator telling the tale that somebody else told to them, you know, and then potentially other people told bits and pieces, and then we get the monster side of the story or whatever. Like, it's the creature even got to tell a little bit of his story at the end of Frankenstein, so why wouldn't Bella Victoria get her chance to say her part?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah,
That's
you have the male perspective where you have the male narrator controlling the woman's story, and then at the end the woman comes in and
it's like, these guys are full of shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I get it, girl. I get it.
But then you have the ending where it's like, well, actually, she really was
Fake news. Fake news.
Fake news. Fake news. The editor is a liar.
Another man.
Yeah.
Another man, exactly.
True. And honestly, now, Crystal, that you say that about, it kind of follows a similar structure to Frankenstein, because it's like because Victor is telling, I always forget that guy's name.
I want to say Arthur.
Robert Walton.
There you go.
Arthur, Robert, somebody.
I
think.
He's talking to that guy on the boat and telling him his perspective. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, the creature comes in.
But he's writing it down and sending those letters to his sister. These are letters to his sister.
So it's like, it does have a weird like structure like that. I get that. That makes sense. But to get into our question of the episode, which I'm very interested to hear this answer. Who is the greater moral offender? Godwin Baxter or Victor Frankenstein? And what makes them worse from your view? Lindsey, I want you to go first.
Okay. So, Victor's crime is not simply creating life, but his crime is refusing to care for it once it exists.
Mm-hmm.
So he repeatedly chooses his pride, fear, and self-preservation over his accountability. Godwin Baxter's morality is complicated because his experiments raise issues of bodily autonomy, like you've said throughout the episode, but it's also consent, like Crystal said, and he actually doesn't reject his creation once it exists. He doesn't abandon Bella. He allows her to develop and ultimately supports her development and her independence and her education. So I'm going with Victor.
All right.
What Lindsey said. Exactly what Lindsey said.
Yeah. Exactly what Lindsey said. I'm going to have to agree with that. Absolutely. Totally agree with that 100%.
I mean, he even went so far as to make sure in his will that she got the estate, that they had, like, she was taken care of for the rest of her life.
Mm-hmm.
And Godwin Baxter was not going to let what he brought into this world just mess everything up for everybody else or suffer, or, you know, it was his responsibility and he took it. And yeah, sorry, Victor still sucks.
We are still the Victor Frankenstein haters.
Absolutely.
The hating podcast. All right, so on that note, that's a wrap on today's episode and our month of madness. The month of madness is over. If you enjoyed the episode or wish to share your thoughts on this book adaptation, please let us know in the comments where you are listening, or feel free to reach out to us on the socials linked in the description below. Also, if you find yourself with more adaptation ideas you want to see us cover, leave them in our adaptation submission form linked as well. All recommendations are welcomed. And if you're interested in listening to the audiobook, check out our affiliate link with Libro FM so you can support your local bookstore while listening to a title with us. I actually enjoyed the audiobook. I switched between the physical and audio. It was pretty good. But thanks for listening, and make sure to experience everything. We can't wait to see you in the next chapter of Based on a Book. Bye!
Bye!